All right, family, what's up? We are back with another weekly Forex forecast. So for this week, I'm going to be pretty much trading lightly throughout the week, just because we have a lot of things going on, and I would say fundamental wise, and just the whole war situation. So we're about to go to war with Iran, the whole tariff reversal situation. All of that is about to hit within, I would say, the next 10 days. Well, we're going to see the market factor that in. The next 10 days could be very sporadic. So I'm going to be going a little bit light and being more of a student and just kind of watching the market's reaction to see how things happen over the next few weeks. So as always, we're going to start off with last week's recap and the updates to see how last week went. And then we'll flow into what I am going to be looking at for this upcoming trading week. All right. So for last week, we'll start off with the DXY. So last week, we were looking at the DXY to come up into this range, sweep this high, and then make a decline. So we actually waited until price action got all the way up here, and then we took some counter trades on some of these DXY pairs. Now, we were able to go break even by the time that it got down here, and I started to see some signs of potential reversal. So we actually took profit on a lot of pairs, and I actually let the team know in the community chat room. So again, if you're not in the community chat room, the link is down below. It's completely free. This is where I put out all of the updates for these trades that I am sharing with you guys for the week. So if we decide to cancel the trade, no longer take the trade, those updates go in the chat room. So if you're not in the chat room, guys, you're seriously missing out on all the updates. For example, last week we canceled 3 trades. So you would have only known that if you would have been in the free Telegram group. So we did take a odd USD trade last week. So this was kind of me and the students. So we literally sold here and we took profit around here. So we got some money on odd USD last week. So that was a positive from that DXY reversal. But overall, what I am going to be looking for this week on the DXY, I'm going to share with you guys soon. We're actually going to update that together on the chart. So that's the DXY update from last week. EURUSD. So this one, we actually took a trade here. This was our original entry, and we actually ended up closing out of that trade around here. So again, if you're not in the chat room, you're completely missing out on the update. So here is the chat room right here, and here is the update that I gave on EURUSD. Right here at 7:30 on February 18th. Price action was around here. So again, right around here. And I said take profit on EURUSD. So we ended up closing out on this before it actually retraced and went back to the stop loss. So again, if you're not in the chat room, you're not going to get these updates. NZD-USD, this was another trade that we ended up closing out last week and just, leaving it alone. It was a little bit in drawdown right here. And I said, go ahead and close out. This was actually right before the news as well. So again, I'm closing all of my trades. I'm not going to trade this news. So this is an update that I gave them in the free community chat room. So if you're not in the chat room, you missed the update and you probably ended up holding that trade when you shouldn't have. So just be mindful that that's where the updates go. Okay. NZD-USD. This was another trade that we took last week. Again, like I just explained, we pretty much closed this out right around here because I saw signs of the dollar potentially continuing towards the upside. So we saved ourselves on this one as well. CAD JPY, this was another pair that I shared last week. Also, we actually didn't take this one because we were too focused on a lot of the other pairs. But if you were able to catch this opportunity, please go risk free just in case it does come back up, and go ahead and close out. I'm not going to be focusing on this for this upcoming trading week, but it is in profit currently. So if you are in this trade, please go risk free. CAD THF. So this was another trade that we ended up closing out as well. So here is the update. It was literally right here. So you guys can see, so literally just a few pips away from entry, and we decided to close that one out as well. So I let them know CAD THF near entry, and we're closing out of that. So we literally closed out around here, and as you guys can see, made a little bit more of a decline and then pushed back towards the upside. So I started to see some reversals on a lot of these pairs, and especially with the actual Fed and everything kind of calculating in, I didn't want to really take those trades going forward throughout the week. So I went ahead and canceled out on a lot of trades. So those are those updates. We also have NZD-JPY that I shared with you guys last week. This one never actually came. We were looking for a retracement up in this range, and it literally consolidated the entire last week. I am not going to be watching this for this upcoming trading week. I'm going to be focusing on some other pairs that have a little bit more of a better opportunity. So that's going to be your update for that one as well. So that's all the updates pretty much from last week, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into what I am looking at for this upcoming trading week. So let's start off with the DXY and let's go ahead and update this. So one thing I've noticed is that price action has now given us a potential shift. Here we could be looking at a change of character. And if this is a change of character, seeing that we did form a high and we failed to form another higher low, I'm sorry, seeing that we formed a lower high and we failed to form another lower low, we actually ended up forming a higher low, and now we formed a higher high. What I would personally be looking at is potential imbalances that were left behind on this movement towards the upside for another push into this range is where I would be targeting for this upcoming trading week. Now, again, I'm not going to be too aggressive this week. I'm going to be more so kind of sitting back, waiting for the perfect opportunity. I need everything to align up, because this is really one of those weeks where you really just kind of don't even want to trade, and you really want to focus on just kind of letting the market show you what it wants to do. So I'm going to be very patient this week, and let's plot out this 4-hour fair value gap because it looks really good. And I just want to see what the market is going to present us for this upcoming trading week. We do have liquidity resting right here. We could just go for a very small liquidity grab and then a movement back towards the upside. Again, make sure you're in the chat room. The link is down below. And make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel. That way you guys don't miss out on any future weekly updates. I will keep you guys updated in the chat room this week on the DXY as it does break down towards the downside to see if we are still going to get that reaction. I prefer an actual order block to take an entry off of. I don't see any order blocks right now. I do see one right here. I would like something a little bit more significant. I'm not even seeing a lot of good entry areas this week for this pair, y'all. Definitely going to be cautious this week when it comes to picking out where exactly we want to try to attack the market. I do like the liquidity that's resting here. So if anything, I would prefer that liquidity be taken. And if I am going to take a trade, it would need to be in the premium range. So this is something I teach my students. So premium range is going to be from here to here. So it would need to be in the premium range. So that would mean that it would need to also take this liquidity if I am going to take this trade. So this week, I'm going to be watching for some type of reaction in this range for a potential movement back towards the upside, at least to take this high. And then from there, we'll reevaluate to see how far up we will go. I need price action to form this low so that I can remeasure price action to see where the actual extension would head to next. Just because I'm not liking a lot on the left. Now, I do see one area that I am targeting towards the left side when we go up, and it's going to be this fair value gap right here. And there's going to be a daily fair value gap. So this is what I'm looking at. And before this fair value gap, I'm interested in this order block. Cool. All right. So that's what I'm looking at this week for the DXY. And this kind of goes hand in hand with everything that's going on. So basically, because of the whole war situation, essentially the DXY you would expect to go towards the upside. The DXY should go up, gold should go up, oil should go up. The indices should go down, but for some reason they're going up. But I know for a fact that we should be expecting the DXY to go up, gold and oil, okay? So just because of the whole war situation, at least over the next 7 days, we should be looking at bullish price action on these pairs. Okay, so that's y'all's DXY for this week. EURUSD, let's go ahead and update this together. I hope you had a good trading week last week, man. I had a pretty solid week. Again, took that trade on odd USD. And I also took a NAS trade as well that I was playing with the students. So pretty solid week for me. Nothing too crazy, but another profitable week. So can't complain on that. Delete some of these alerts. Got a lot going on here. Okay. So this week for EURUSD, I want to see price action lower. Okay. We also got a change of character here as well. So personally, what you would basically expect is a retracement and a continuation towards the downside. This area right here, this order block, is a really nice area to be looking at for a reaction. I do expect price action to potentially actually dig into these lows and maybe even take this low. That is definitely a possibility, but we're going to take it piece by piece. So for this upcoming trading week, I would look for a retracement and then a continuation towards the downside. So again, it all depends on how we react in this range. So in the area of interest, it depends on how we react if we're going to even take the trade, but we need price action to build up and basically a reversal state into that area. And so that's where Elliott Wave basically comes in. So we want to see an Elliott Wave pattern build up into this range. So either ABC or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the ABC is going to give us a corrective pattern. So to give you an example, we have impulse, and then you would have ABC. So that's a correction setting us up for another impulse. So that's going to be a sign that I'm going to be looking for if we are potentially going to get a continuation towards the downside. Another thing I'm going to be looking for is a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will let me know that this short-term push towards the upside is ready to end in our area of interest. This would be a sign for me to potentially look to take this towards the downside. So those are going to be the two confirmations within price action that I'm going to be looking for as it builds up to let me know if I am going to be taking this trade towards the downside. Make sense? Cool. This is going to be the area of interest that I am looking at. Just make sure we are in premium. Okay. So we are in premium. So this looks pretty good. I'm not looking to be too specific this week. I'm not looking to snipe the trade this week. I just want to look for a potential entry for a continuation down. Structurally, if we are correct, price action must hold this high. If it breaks in any kind of way, then we would shift back to a bullish market. So if we are correct, and if this bias is to continue down, technically speaking, your invalidation would be above this high, and you would be looking for a reaction in this range. I do not think we're going to go all the way into this fair value gap here, but it is a possibility, okay? So that is what I am looking at this week on EURUSD, and we're going to be looking to take it down into the 50% of the order block. GBPUSD. So this one, this week, what I'm going to look for, and we do have an ABC structure for a potential continuation further down. Now we have tagged into the first targeting range that I usually look for on the ABC structure. What I am going to look for this week, we do have a potential 5-wave structure forming. So we might got another wave towards the downside coming, and that's going to lead us into this daily fair value gap. So this imbalance that was left behind as price action pretty much moved up on this whole impulse. So we're going to be looking for that to be mitigated, and we're looking for a retracement into this order block range this week. And here's your order block, and then we're going to be looking for a movement back toward the downside. And again, I'm going to keep y'all updated this week as price action builds into these ranges. If I see anything that I like, then I will be executing. If it does not look good, then I will let you know in the free community chat room. And the link is down below in the description. Okay, so that's GBPUSD. Another thing that I like this week is going to be US30. And that's going to be pretty much the last thing that I want to look at for this upcoming trading week. This week on US30, I really want to see a movement towards the upside. First target for me is going to be here. I do like this structure that we are forming. What you would want to look for towards the beginning of the week is a small correction and then a continuation up. I do believe that we are going to hold this low. We did do a sweep before taking off as well. So we did mitigate and grab orders before taking off. I do think that we are going to pretty much impulsively head up once the market opens on tomorrow. So this is something that I am going to watch, and I'm going to, again, look for a little correction, nothing crazy, and then a push towards the upside. We could even go for short-term liquidity grabs as well, or just some kind of sweep on a short-term point. So short-term right here, we do have a low. There's going to be lows, stop losses below this low, and as well as we have this fair value gap, and this is a 30-minute time frame right here as well. So we could tap the low, take out any traders that are in from this low, and then, mitigate in the fair value gap and then continue towards the upside. So that's something that I will be looking at personally this week. If this bias is to be correct, it must hold, I would say, this low. It doesn't need, if it digs all the way back down here, it's going to continue down. So you can take a little bit off the stop loss on this one, and you're going to be looking somewhere in this range. It shouldn't even come back in these lows without taking this high first, okay? So that's what I am looking at. And we did have a change of character, it looks like, here from the inner trend here. So we could be looking at just a correction and then a continuation up just off of that bias alone. But I'm focused on more of a higher time frame concept. And so I'm actually looking at this breakup structure at this point, and then the retracement, and then the continuation towards the upside. So we are holding these lows very well. So let's see if we can get a movement towards the upside this upcoming trading week on US30. Other than that, that's really all that I am going to be watching for this upcoming trading week. Again, for those of y'all that are new, make sure y'all are subscribed so y'all don't miss out on any future videos. And make sure you guys are in the Telegram community chat room so you guys get all of the updates on these trades for this upcoming trading week. Outside of that, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great trading week. If you have any questions about the trades, drop that down in the comments below, and I'll try to answer that as soon as I can. All right, y'all. Peace out.